Hi, everyone. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And it's our News Digest unit for the month of May as we head toward the summer. And we're going to be talking about something that recently happened in the UK. Okay, I'm not talking about Brexit. I'm not talking about some famous band coming out with a new album or a new flavor of scone or something like that. I'm actually talking about something that has to do with a woman's menstrual cycle. How about that?
Well, it actually does have something to do with Brexit, because if you're in the EU, a country, just a single country, doesn't have the power to lower taxes or raise taxes on certain things. They have to all do the same thing, and that's one of the big reasons why the UK wanted to leave the EU so they could control their own destiny. We're going to talk about how a lot of these countries, the developing countries especially, a lot of the women have it really hard and face some discrimination just because they're women who have periods. So we're going to talk about how they're ending this tax on tampons and what it can mean. We're going to get started, guys. I'll read through this lesson and then we'll be back. UK ends its tax on tampons. Women all over the UK celebrated at the beginning of 2021 after the British government became the latest country to strike down all taxes on period products. These goods, which include tampons and sanitary pads, were previously taxed at a 5% rate under European Union guidelines, as they were considered non-essential items. Now that the UK is no longer subject to EU rules after Brexit, the nation has been able to scrap the tax outright as part of its 2021 budget. The UK joins 15 other nations from every continent in removing this hurdle to citizens' access to these indispensable products. Activists applauded the move, proclaiming that the end of the tampon tax is a crucial step in the movement to end sexist practices around menstruation. Numerous movements with this aim have sprung up around the world, encouraging governments to abolish taxes on period products and provide them to students and low-income families for free. Such actions would significantly boost the quality of life for people who menstruate. The UK's Red Box Project estimates that 1 in 10 girls can't afford period products in the UK, and nearly 140,000 children there have missed school due to period poverty. The need for help is even more urgent in developing countries. Timely though this move is, products are not the only issue at hand. Stigma and embarrassment surrounding menstruation often make it difficult for girls to ask for products when they need them. Outdated and harmful beliefs also persist in some cultures, such as that a menstruating woman walking through a garden can kill crops, or that women and girls should stay isolated for the duration of their period. Many non-governmental organizations around the world are working to enlighten people of every gender about menstruation, as well as continuously pushing other countries to drop the tampon tax.
Okay, let's get to it. This is our News Digest unit for the month of May 2021, and we're going to the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and they have decided to end a tax on tampons. These are products that women use once a month when they have their periods or when they experience their menstrual cycles. And I believe there are two types of products that women use. There may be other ones. I'd have to ask you about that, Stephanie, because I don't really have to worry about this too much myself. But we've got tampons, and we've also got sanitary napkins or sanitary pads, and there might be some other products as well.
Yeah, usually, I know in this article they refer to these products as period products, but in the U.S. at least, it's always referred to as sanitary products or sanitary items. And we all know what that means. It's kind of the code word.
But again, we are in the UK now, and women all over the UK celebrated at the beginning of 2021 after the British government became the latest country to strike down all taxes on period products, as you read before. Now, strike down just means to get rid of something, especially if it's a tax or a law. To strike it down, to abolish that tax or to abolish that law, to strike it down. So indeed, this government in the UK has struck down all the taxes on period products. I didn't know they had to pay taxes on these products, but I know you have to pay taxes on, say, alcoholic products like whiskey and beer and stuff, and on cigarettes, and I suppose there are other kinds of products that are taxed as well.
Oh, for sure. If your government wants to discourage people from using a product or consuming a product, they'll just add a really big tax to it, like cigarettes or for a while, I don't know if it's still true, but in New York City, the mayor made all soda pop. He hiked up the tax on the bottles of soda and the glasses and cups of soda, like it would stop people from drinking. Right, it didn't work. So, yeah, it became the latest country to strike down taxes on period products. And again, instead of saying period products, if you're in the States, we would just say sanitary products. And we're supposed to know what that means. Now, these goods or products, which include tampons and sanitary pads, were previously taxed at a 5% rate under European Union guidelines, as they were considered non-essential items, which makes me laugh. Now, if you're talking about something that's sanitary, guys, it just means it's very clean. It's something where they've cleaned it to the point you shouldn't find germs there anymore. Hospitals have to be very sanitary. Restaurants get checked frequently, pretty regularly, to see if they have sanitary kitchens and an environment. It's really important. So we've got tampons, sanitary pads, which Tom talked about. And before they struck down this law, people were paying an extra 5% to buy something that was considered non-essential. I think if you were to ask any girl or woman out there who uses these products, they would tell you that they are not non-essential. They're very essential.
Yeah, so again, I'm kind of lost about this because I didn't know there was a tax for this. It does sound kind of unfair, but in the EU, they do have a tax on these products of 5%. But now that the UK is no longer part of the EU, they can strike down this tax. And therefore, they no longer have to pay this tax, but I guess in the EU, they still have to pay this tax because these products are considered non-essential items, but I guess in the UK, they consider them essential items, necessary items. So here in the next sentence, it says, now that the UK is no longer subject to EU rules after Brexit, the nation has been able to scrap the tax outright as part of its 2021 budget. So in this sentence, we've got the word scrap. Scrap here can be a noun that just means like leftover food or something. Hey, we didn't buy dog food for our dog. We fed the dog table scraps or leftover food from our dinner. But here, scrap is being used as a verb. It just means to get rid of something, to abolish something, to strike something down.
Yeah, when I used to sew with my mom, we would cut out the fabric on the table, and there would always be scraps of material left over that were too small to do anything with. Sometimes if the piece was big enough, I would take it and make Barbie doll clothes. But yeah, scraps are leftover things. Can be food and it can be materials, like I just gave the example of fabric scraps. It is countable, guys. But this, again, is a verb. If you scrap the tax outright, you get rid of it altogether, completely. It's gone. Sometimes they'll change the law. If they just change or modify the law, you couldn't use scrap something outright. This just means it is gone. Every bit of that tax has been taken away. So this was part of their 2021 budget. Now, the UK joins 15 other countries or nations from every continent in removing this hurdle to citizens' access to these indispensable products. We talked about earlier how the EU considers them non-essential, which would mean dispensable products, right? Now we're saying, no, they're indispensable. You must have them. Now, if you have a hurdle or put a hurdle in front of someone who's trying to achieve or accomplish something, you're putting some sort of obstacle. It's a difficulty that they have to get around or overcome. So we know hurdles are used in track and field. You know, when the runner starts running and has to leap over those hurdles, that's actually called a hurdle. But here, it's more figurative. It's some sort of obstacle or difficulty. Again, it's difficult for the citizens to have access to these sanitary products because they were costing so much. But they've taken that law away. They've just gotten rid of the tax, and now women have access or can get their hands on these indispensable, essential, important products.
Indispensable just means you can't live without it. You absolutely have to have it. So for a lot of people in Taiwan, their scooter is indispensable. If they did not have their scooter, they could not get to work, they could not eat, they could not buy food. They would just cease to survive. They would be dead, and they might as well give up. So yes,
could they
a scooter...
maybe take the bus or the MRT before they die, Tom?
Yeah, true. I guess there are some other options. Like me, I ride my bicycle pretty much everywhere, except in the rain. I don't like to do that. Then I take the MRT.
Good.
But yeah, if you talk about things that you need and you can't do without, they are indispensable. Like our Chinese teacher. Our Chinese teacher is indispensable.
True.
Let's take a listen.
Hello, my name is Shelby. 英国要终止卫生棉条税，新闻一开始先公布要废除税收这个商品。第一句，英国女性庆祝2021年初，在政府成为最新的国家 to strike down all taxes on period products. Strike down 击倒，后面接法律等，表示说裁定此法为非法。Period products 指女性生理期的用品，现在要终止课这个税。这些产品呢，包含 Tampons 卫生棉条和 sanitary pads 卫生棉。sanitary 卫生的 pads 是护垫，会被课税 5%， 以欧盟的准则。as 因为它们被认为是非必需品，必需品的定义，例如像卫生纸、医疗用品等，这些都免税。第三句 Now that the UK is no longer subject to EU rules. Now that 是副词连接词，表示既然，那整句是个副词子句。is subject to 加名词，表示受限于某物。这句是说英国不再受限于欧盟的规定。在 Brexit 之后， Brexit 是 British exit 的缩写，表示英国脱离欧盟，那这国家可以 to scrap the tax outright. Scrap 取消，例如说 scrap our plan 就是取消我们的计划。而 outright 是副词，表示完全的，完全废除这税收。到最后一句 The UK joins 加入另外15个国家，来自不同的州，消除这个 hurdle 栏架，引申为障碍，对什么的障碍 A hurdle to something. To citizens' access to these indispensable products. Access to 加名词，接近获得什么 indispensable 不可或缺的产品。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. This is our News Digest unit. We've got one story to focus on, and the headline here is UK ends its tax on tampons. We're talking about how after UK had Brexit and left the EU, they could start determining and deciding on their own future, as most sovereign countries should be able to do. So these goods in the past had been taxed at a 5% rate under EU guidelines. So they at that time were considered non-essential, but we all know these are indispensable products. They are not non-essential. They're very much essential to women who have to put up with periods once a month. So after they left Brexit, the UK was able to get rid of the tax outright or scrap the tax outright. It was part of their 2021 budget. So we also found out in the last sentence of the first paragraph that the UK is joining 15 other nations from every continent in the world, and they're all removing this hurdle or making it easier for citizens to get access or have access to sanitary pads, tampons, the whole deal.
Okay, so now in the next paragraph it says, activists, or people who support this, applauded the move. They applauded. Yay, great. They liked it. They approved of it. And they were proclaiming that the end of the tampon tax is a crucial step in the movement to end sexist practices around menstruation. So that's just one hurdle there. There are some other problems regarding menstruation, which we'll get to. Some countries think it's kind of shameful, and women are discriminated against because of that. So this is one hurdle that they've cleared. But again, it's a crucial step in ending sexist practices regarding menstruation. Now, here we've got the word proclaim, and that just means to state something in public, to say that that's what you feel, that's your idea, that's your logo. You proclaim that, you announce it officially. You might proclaim your selected candidate for an election, or you might proclaim your policy for immigration or something like that.
Now, they're saying this is a crucial step in the movement to end sexist practices around menstruation. If it's crucial, it's critical to the success of something. So it just means they have to have it. Sexist practices are just things, not just laws, but maybe regulations that seem to be unfair to one side and not the other. And this, of course, would have been unfair to women who have to have periods every month so that we can repopulate the world. But yeah, it seemed to end this one particular sexist practice. Now, numerous movements, and we're talking about social movements, people who get together and think, you know, let's let everybody know what's going on. We need to change this this policy, or maybe come up with a new law that will protect people. Well, these movements, who all had the same goal or aim, have sprung up around the world. Yeah, I've been reading more and more about it. I had no idea some of these developing countries looked at menstruation in such a way, just crazy way to me. Now, sprung up is the past tense of the verb form spring up. So we've got the verb phrase to spring up. Now, if it's literal, it might be used to talk about, say, a tiger or a lion. Sometimes they'll spring up and jump on their prey and kill it. But here we're just talking about things coming into being very quickly. For example, I use this example here because Taiwan seems to have so many convenience stores like 7-Eleven and Family Mart. We have so many convenience stores. Well, they just started springing up one day, and it's kind of nice to have them now because they make life convenient. So spring up is the present tense, sprung up is the past tense.
Yeah, you also hear pop up, which means they appear suddenly. And, of course, governments have been encouraged to abolish taxes on period products and provide them to students and low-income families for free. If you abolish something, hey, you strike it down. I think I mentioned this word earlier in the lesson. To abolish just means to get rid of a law, especially if it's seen as an unfair law or it's an old law that's been on the books for a long time. They finally just get rid of it. Like in the 1860s, the United States abolished slavery. Okay, so let's move on now to the next sentence here. It says, such actions would significantly boost the quality of life for people who menstruate. That's kind of hard to say, but it does have to do with the monthly cycle or roughly monthly cycle that women have to go through when they're childbearing age. So this is the verb to menstruate, and then the noun for this is menstruation, and then menstrual is the adjective, hence menstrual cycle or MC, as I hear a lot of people here in Taiwan say.
Now, the UK's got this Red Box project, and they must do research on this, and they estimate that 1 in 10 girls can't afford period products in the UK. And that's a very developed country, and nearly 140,000 children there in the UK have missed school due to period poverty, meaning they can't afford to buy tampons or pads, and so they just stay home. Now, the need for help is even more urgent in developing countries, which is so true. Now, timely though this move is, even though we're finally working on it and it's good, these products are not the only issue at hand or the only issue that needs to be talked about and debated. Stigma and embarrassment surrounding menstruation often make it difficult for girls to even ask for the products when they need them. Stigma is a word we use when something is associated with some sort of embarrassment or shame, but there should be no stigma around it at all. And it's not, it shouldn't be too embarrassing because it happens to half the population around the world, obviously. So we've got outdated and harmful beliefs, probably some cultural beliefs that are more suited to maybe 200 or 300 years ago. Some cultures aren't quite as modern. And they think sometimes that even a woman menstruating and walking through a garden can kill crops, can kill the plants. Or that if you're having your period, you should stay away from other people for the duration. You can't be hanging out with anybody while this is going on, as if they're evil or dirty or bad luck, something like that.
Yeah, these are stigmas, examples of that. Embarrassment because you're having your period, or I guess signs of embarrassment for society in general. I've heard of a couple. I know there's one in Nepal that's pretty bad. I can't remember the details. And then I remember when I first went to Thailand, you're not supposed to go into a temple if you're menstruating, okay? They don't allow women in temples there. And of course, that's up to Thailand to decide whether that's moral or not. But to us, it sounds kind of, well, I don't know, that doesn't seem very fair. But in any case here, these are some stigmas associated with the menstrual cycle. And outdated and harmful beliefs also persist in some cultures. Like you said, walking through a garden, it might kill crops. And women and girls should stay isolated for the duration of their period. Yes, stay away from the rest of society. That might be the one from Nepal there.
Yeah, Nepal, I believe they send the girls out and they have to be in a tent by themselves. It's kind of interesting. So many non-governmental organizations, they would be NGOs. That's their abbreviation or acronym, NGOs. These are organizations around the world. They're working to enlighten people of every gender about menstruation. So if you enlighten somebody, you talk to them and try to get them to see things from your perspective, give somebody a little bit better understanding or even greater knowledge about something. And that's going on. That's great. And as well as continuously pushing other countries to drop the tampon tax. There are still countries that insist on putting that tax on tampons. Crazy.
And that's good for the UK. Hopefully other countries will follow this example. And that brings us to the end of our program. But before we say goodbye, we need to hear once again from our Chinese teacher.
第二段要说明理由以及其他的细节。行动支持者 applauded the move. Applaud 鼓掌叫好 the move 举动 proclaiming that proclaim 是宣布，原来是 which proclaims 省略了 which 改写成分词构句。他们宣布说，卫生棉调税的终止是关键的一步，在结束 sexist practices， sexist 性别歧视的 practices 是行为， 带有性别歧视的行为，其他如 sexist jokes 黄色笑话都令人反感。后面的 menstruation 生理期是医学的正式说法，台湾说的 MC 就是它的形容词 menstrual 加上 cycle 的缩写。前面 period 也被用来表示生理期，那某人正在生理期间就是 to be on one's period。第二句，无数行动已经 sprung up 全世界。sprung 是 spring 的 PP， spring S-P-R-I-N-G 弹跳，它的三态 sprung， 鼓励政府废除生理用品的税收，并免费提供给低收家庭。下一句，这样子的行动呢，将 significantly boost the quality of life。 boost 提升，明显会提升生理期妇女的生活品质。后半句的英国红盒子专案估计 that 每10个就有1个女孩买不起生理用品，有将近14万个小孩失学，是因为 period poverty 生理期贫乏。所谓的 period poverty， 例如有些家庭会强迫女性一天只用1个卫生棉，造成阴部的疾病，连阴部健康都有阶级之分。好，我们到第3段来，要讨论某些文化对生理期的态度。第一句Timely though this move is， 虽然此举动是及时的，这句呢是个倒装句。though 虽然 though 或 as 当作虽然的时候，句子中的形容词、副词或名词可以放到句首来强调这些状况。Timely 及时的，强调虽然很及时 products 用品，却并不是唯一的问题 at hand。 at hand 片语是手边的，形容前面的 issue 现在手上的问题。Stigma 耻辱和尴尬，让他很难去开口索取。后面句子用 make it 加形容词加 for 人 to V 的句型， it 是虚受词，代表后面的 to ask for products。 下一句说，过时以及有害的观念仍然 persist in some cultures。 persist 坚持，后面可加 in 或者 with 再加名词，表示在哪里持续着坚持着。例如说 a menstruating woman， 一个生理期的妇女经过花园的时候会杀死农作物，或者妇女需要 stay isolated， 在生理期期间 stay 保持， isolated 是被隔离的。最后一句，许多非政府组织正努力 to enlighten people of every gender。 enlighten 启发， gender 性别，教育各种性别的人关于生理期，以及推动其他国家终止卫生棉条税 Tampon tax， 也就是 period tax。 还有其他一些生理期的说法，中文说大姨妈，英文说 aunt floor， aunt 阿姨， flow F-L-O-W 流动，大姨妈来了就是 aunt floor is visiting。 好，以上是今天的讲解，谢谢大家的收听。
That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Ciao.